Hey, this is Passy from Passy's World of ICT, the guy with the white hat. And we've got an Adobe Animate CC tutorial where we're going to explore the 7 colors of the rainbow. And if you've done science or physics, that's known as Roy G. Biv, is the name of the guy. 7 colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Now, in a real rainbow, they kind of fade into each other like this. They're not distinct colors, and that fading into each other is what we are going to investigate in this lesson. All right, so we show how to make a non-moving, so we're going to have something that's not moving in this lesson, and it's going to change color, and we're going to do that using what's called shape tween in Adobe Animate. So our finished GIF file, our output file from our finished project for this lesson, is running there on the left, and you can see that it starts at red, fades into orange, goes to yellow, then to green, then to blue, then to indigo, which is dark blue, then a violet color, then back to red, orange, yellow. So it's just a nice little animation that does the rainbow colors, but also does all of the in-between colors along the way. And that's why we call it tweening in Animate, because it's doing the in-between things. So it's a great lesson for people interested in the whole rainbow color palette, because you probably use this when you've done color picking in other applications. Or if you're a physics student, you will love this because it's all about wavelengths and light and the visible part of the electromagnetic spectrum. But anyway, remember, I'm a bit of a slow talker. So increase the play speed to 1.5 or 1.75. You'll find the video flows a lot better. So how you do that is you go to the video timeline index in YouTube and just click on that cog and then go to playback speed and make it 1.5, 1.75. Some of our students even watch it on double speed, 2.0, but that might be a little bit fast. This is probably going to be a long lesson, so make sure you take breaks. Remember, all of our videos have a video timeline index if you click show more in the YouTube description underneath the video. And what you can do is you can click on any of these blue numbers and it goes to that section. So if you're going along fine, but you're having trouble and you stopped, all right, at this, drawing circle and oval shapes, if you want to come back next day and work on that, just go to the YouTube description, click on this 0726 in blue, and it'll take you straight to that section in the video, okay? So all the videos are timeline index, which is one of the value adds we do for your education here at Passy's World of ICT. All right, this lesson is a simple introduction using the timeline in Animate. So this is a great introduction to the timeline. We assume maybe you started learning Animate by doing our drawing lessons, such as the emojis and drawing the aliens, which are on our YouTube channel if you look at the Animate playlist. This is a great first lesson for teachers and students about getting into the Adobe timeline and understanding what it is. So we're going to do all the usual things we've done before. Start a new Animate project. We're going to draw a full screen red rectangle. Then we'll insert a blank keyframe at frame 30 and make an orange one, because remember, we're trying to go red, orange, yellow, green. Then we'll just create a shape tween between those 2 frames to create the blending of the red going into the orange, and show you how that works. Then we're going to make yellow at 60, and we'll keep going along. We'll have frame 90's green, 120, so we're just going in 30s here. Frame 120's light blue, frame 150's indigo, which is that deep blue color, frame 180's violet, and then we also need to come back to the initial red color. So at frame 210, 180 plus 30 makes 210, we're going to come back to red again. We're going to test the animation with the timeline play button, show you how to do that, also show you how to drag the timeline player to test it. And then when it's all working, we can generate an HTML5 version, which will run in a web page on a browser. And we'll also generate the animated GIF file. The animated GIF file is probably more useful because you can just save that or email it to someone in any Windows device. They can just double click it and it's going to play. There's also a challenge task which will link skills from our previous emojis drawing lesson into this lesson and make a bit of an interesting animation we'll tell you about later. All right, so Animate, let's get straight into it. There's no real downloads for this lesson. if you go to the video description again, there'll be a link to get the downloads, but the only download for this lesson is the step-by-step instructions you're seeing right now. There aren't kind of start files, there aren't images you have to get or anything like that. All right, it's just these instructions. And you can download those. Go to the video description to find the download to have a hard copy of these instructions. All right, so it's the usual create new. Now, they decided to change that, and then in the latest Animate I'm running, it now says new file here, but create new file, whatever you do to make a new one in Animate. And the new document panel should still be pretty much the same. We usually work with game or education, and you need to pick a medium size 800 by 600 for this lesson. Although if you've got a very small laptop, you could use a 640 by 480. But we're just using 800 by 600 for our medium size laptop. You can just leave this at HTML5 canvas. If you've done Flash or ActionScript or Animate before, you might know about using ActionScript 3 programming language, but all of the ones we do, we're just going to make an exported animated GIF file for this, so it doesn't matter what platform type it is. Just make it HTML5 canvas, leave it at the default, and then click the create button to make your new project. Now, when the stage screen opens up, if this is the first time you're coming into Animate, and it could be, or maybe you've been here before, but there's tools down the side. There's a timeline usually across the bottom, and there's the blank white paper, which is called the stage. All right, so if you don't have them in that kind of order on your screen, if your screen looks totally different to this, just click this guy up here, all right, which is next to this kind of upload symbol. Click on that and make sure you're working in a workspace that is essentials, all right? You need to be on essentials. So click this guy and pick essentials, and it should kind of look like this. Now, if your timeline is taking up space on a project and you just want to have more room to work on your drawing at the moment, you can go window up here and it'll bring up a list of items. Now, when you have timeline ticked, it'll show up. If you untick, it'll disappear. And then if you want to get it back later, you just go window and then tick timeline again so it's displayed. Same with the tools here. If your tools aren't showing up there, well, you just need to go to window and make sure tools is ticked. Over in here, we've got properties, some properties of the stage showing. The stage color at the moment that's set to is white because we're on the dock properties on this tab. So yeah, if you want to see that properties tab as well, again, just do window and properties and that will display it. So that's pretty much it for setting up your work screen. The lesson, we're going to have ours set up in this essentials type setup here that looks like this. But something else we should tell you, especially for smaller laptops, is there's also a % up here, and you can click this right-hand arrow next to it. You can do fit in window, which will fit your whole piece of white paper stage into one area, so it fits. Now, for our particular needs in this project, we decided to just type in 85% here, and that made it fit well on our screen, and we could see the whole stage. If you're on a smaller laptop, you might even make this 80% or 75%. You can just manually type that in and press enter, and then that'll get that all sorted. So we're ready to start drawing our first item, which is going to be a red rectangle. So we need to get onto the rectangle tool. You don't have to push down and change it to oval or anything else. But if it is showing oval, just press down on this button and pick rectangle. We want the rectangle tool. Now, for the drawing color around the outside of the object, see how this has got a gray border around it? Okay, that's called the stroke. Now, for the stroke color, we don't want any color around the outside. We just want the plain red rectangle. So what you do is you can click this guy here, the underneath color thing, and just pick the no color symbol, which is this one. Or you can do window properties and pick it, all right? But we basically want no color for that. We need to change this blue into a red. So you can go window up the top and go properties. There is also a shortcut icon on the screen for bringing up the properties, which we'll show you in the live demo. But just go up the top and go window and tick properties. And then make sure you're on tool, because we're on rectangle here and we're interested in the properties for the tool. You can click on stroke and just pick the no color symbol. pick on fill and the color picker of rainbow colors will come up, and you can pick a red color for that. All right, then it should look like this. We've got red filling in, and we've got no border around the outside. And then you just hold down your mouse and you draw yourself out a rectangle. It's okay if it goes a little bit over the edges of the stage, that's fine, because it's hard to get it exactly on that black line. You just don't want any white bits showing. You want to completely cover that white page of stage area with the red rectangle. Now, another thing is this object drawing indicator here, this round circle with the square around it, make sure it's turned off. When it's just a little guy like this, it's turned off. If you've got a black kind of button outline all around this, that means it's turned on. So you need to click it to turn it off. It's a bit like a light switch. You click it, it goes on. You click it, it goes off. You click it, it goes on. You click it, it goes off. It needs to be off. So it's just a little grey circle with a little grey rectangle around it and no dark area around the outside. That's really important that that's turned off. So let's do a live demonstration, show you in Animate how we get started and how we get that first red rectangle drawn. All right, so we've started up Animate, the AN one, which is blue in the later versions. If you've still got 2019, it might be red. We like the old red version, but let's not go there. And we just need to do new file. That's how we make a new project. So we click on new file, and what's going to happen is this standard new document panel opens. Now we just want to use game or education. We'll just go to education, and we're going to use a medium 800 by 600 because we're using a medium sized laptop. If you've got a really small screen on your laptop, 13-inch or 12-inch or something, use the 640 by 480. And we're just leaving everything else the same like this, frame rate 24, HTML, and we're just going to do create there. And that should start up Animate. And you can see we've got our page area, our timeline, and our tools. Remember this guy up here? If you change the workspace to developer, you'll see it looks a lot different, okay? Much different. So if yours doesn't look like ours, just go to this one and click on Essentials. All right, and then it should come up like this. And then there's windows to show the tools and the timeline. So let's say yours is like this, and you're wondering, hey, where are all those tools down the side that Passy had on his? Go to Window and make sure Tools is ticked, which you just do by clicking it. Now, usually the tools will sort of come out like this down the screen, which is kind of okay on this bigger size screen, but on small laptops, or on laptops especially, they go right off the page and it's a real pain. So just go near the edge of this, no hand on the mouse button at the moment, we're just moving the mouse. And when you get these white double arrows, then you push down and hold down the mouse button and you can stretch this out a bit, all right? And same with the timeline, we're not going to have multiple layers here or anything. So you can, now we've stretched that right down. Are we in the right spot? You could make it bigger if you needed to, or you can make it a bit smaller. All right, so we're just going to do that to fit in our timeline. Now, our piece of paper, if we use this side scroller, it's still not quite fitting on the screen. So remember, we decided we'd type 85% in here, but you can play around on yours and see what works well for you. And now we can see our whole stage, our whole white piece of paper. So we're ready to go. So let's click on the rectangle tool. Now the rectangle tool at the moment has red with a black outline. And if we try that out and draw a rectangle, you can kind of see it's got this black thin line around it. That's not what we want. So let's just hold down CTRL and go Z, or Z if you're in America. We need to click on this guy, and right up next to the rainbow circle, just click on this no color symbol. So I got no color for the stroke color, and we've got red here for this. So if this was a different color, so it was green, you'd need to click on it and make it into red. Now, another way of doing it is to go Window Properties, and that'll bring up the properties. Make sure it's not on frame or dock. It needs to be on tool up here. But see how it's saying the strokes, no color, the fills. We can change the fill here as well. We can change it to red. And notice on the far left-hand side in the tools, it changed to red. Now, this properties is in the way a bit. There's some double arrows up here in the right-hand corner of it. You can just click those and it goes away. And there's a little icon here that kind of has like sliders on it for sliding adjustments. If you click on that, the properties come up, and if you click on it again, they go away. So that's kind of handy. This kind of like sliders, that symbol. All right, so finally we're ready to go. And we start up the top left-hand corner, and you push down your mouse and hold it down, and you just sort of go downhill. We're just traveling downhill all the way to the bottom right-hand corner. And we've gone over the edge a bit, but that's fine. And that's our red rectangle. So click back on the arrow tool up the top left-hand corner. We usually click on that. That's our home base tool. So when we finish something, we click on that. So that is our first step done. And let's find out what we have to do next. Okay, so we're going to go to frame 30, click in it so it goes blue, and we're going to make a new piece of paper or a new stage. So we've finished drawing our red one in number 1. You just go in the timeline, and where number 30 is, you click in so it goes blue. You can sort of see it here. Then once it's blue, right-click your mouse and choose Insert Blank Keyframe, which makes a new piece of drawing paper, all right? And the timeline pointer, this kind of blue thing over here on the left, that blue up and down thing, that should now shift across to 30 to indicate we're at frame 30 at the moment. And there should be a new blank piece of paper. And if you're wondering where the red rectangle's gone, it hasn't disappeared. We didn't delete it. It's actually back at frame 1 on the timeline, all right? So now we need to make ourselves an orange rectangle. So at frame 30, where we're working down here, okay, we're going to get back on the rectangle tool, but just change this color from red to orange and draw ourselves another rectangle. Now, remember, if you're having trouble seeing it, there's that percentage adjustment up there that you use to make it fit on the screen, okay, and you can see all the way around, and don't leave any white sort of lines or gaps. Now, we're just drawing the rectangles straight away and leaving them as shapes, all right? If you've used Animate or Flash before, you might be thinking, oh, I need to convert these into graphic symbols, or I need to convert these into movie clips. Do not convert them into graphics, and do not convert them into movie clips, because it will not work, okay? So, if you're a new person and you don't even know what movie clips and graphic objects are, don't worry, because we are not, I repeat, we are not using them in this lesson. We're just drawing the shapes and leaving them as shapes in Animate. So let's get that orange rectangle drawn at frame 30. All right, so here we are back in Animate. And if we go on our timeline down the bottom here, 30 is kind of indicated as being light gray, and there is a 30 above it. And we right click on that. So we had to click into it first. So it went blue in its box. Then, we right click. Now, with these boxes, there's a slider up here for making the boxes bigger and smaller. Yours might be super big like this, or maybe they're so small you can hardly click in there. All right, but we can adjust the size here. So let's just make it a bit bigger for now on this slider so you can see clearly that's 30. And we right click and we insert a blank keyframe. If you accidentally insert keyframe, it's going to copy a red rectangle into that number 30. Just hold down CTRL and press Z or Z. Control and Z are your best friend, the going backwards keys. And just try again. So right click, make sure you're doing insert blank keyframe. It has to be a blank keyframe. That gives us a whole new white stage area to work with. And you might be thinking, oh no, I just deleted that red rectangle. No, you haven't. If you click back in frame 1 and click off in this gray area, you can see there's your red rectangle, okay? And we're just moving further along the color stream, and we're gonna make the yellow one now. So we've got a new blank sheet of paper to make the yellow one. Sorry, the orange one. We're up to orange. So just click on this and just pick an orange color, right? And we just need to then get on the rectangle tool. So we get onto the rectangle tool and we draw our orange rectangle. And we've gone a bit over the edges, but that doesn't matter. Then just click on your arrow home base tool, all right? So we just made ourselves a new blank sheet of paper at 30, a new white stage, changed our color from red to orange, because remember we're doing Roy G. Biv to get through the rainbow colors. They go red, orange, yellow, green, Biv. Blue, indigo's that dark blue, B at the end, Biv for violet, okay, which is purple colored. So we got that done, and let's go back and see what we do next. All right, so we're trying to do this step by step to help you out here. So now we're going to actually make the color change animation with a shape tween. All right, so how you do that is you just go halfway between where you've got your two rectangles. So remember, we've got the red one at number 1, the orange one at number 30. It doesn't have to be exactly half, all right? If you go to somewhere in the middle here, if you're at 13 or 17 or 16, it doesn't matter. If you do the maths, 15 is the exact halfway point, but just right click there and we're doing create shape tween, all right? If you accidentally click the wrong one, that's okay. Just do CTRL and Z, but we're right clicking halfway in between. Move this, click halfway in between, then right click and create shape tween. And what should happen now is you'll see that there's this, it goes brown in color and there's this arrow. Or if you're in the old Animate CC, it went a much nicer light green color. I don't like brown, it's a horrible color. But anyway, that's the color they chose. And so you'll get an arrow and it'll have a brown background. That's how you know there is a shape tween there, all right? If you've got a different sort of tween that's a different color, you can right click and go remove tween. That should come up, I think, somewhere. It'll be a different menu to this. Or you can do CTRL and Z or Control and Z. That will get you backwards and get rid of your brown or your blue thing, or if you've got the wrong colored one. It needs to be brown, then you know it's a shape tween in the latest version of Animate, or green, light green in the old versions. Then we just press the play button. And we should be able to see it change colors. So if you press this, up here there's a player, that's the rewind button. This is the play button. So if you press that play button, it should play the animation. You should see the color change gradually from red to orange. Or you can grab this timeline marker and just push down your mouse and hold it down and drag it along backwards and forwards to see the color change. So what should happen is you'll have the color change happening. So it should be red, and then sort of goes to an in-between orange and red, and then goes to an orange color. So you get the gradual fading from red turning into orange. Now the cool thing is that Animate does all of the in-between bits for you. Otherwise you'd have to go along the timeline yourself and find 30 different shades of orangey red, put them in the right order and get them in all the slots. So this shape tweening really saves a lot of time. So let's go over into Animate and do it. All right, here we are back in Animate. Remember at number 1, we've got our red one. And at number 30, if we just click in this gray area, we've got the orange one. Go halfway in between to 15, click there, and then right click, and we're doing create shape tween. Now, if you drag this playhead, you just push down your mouse on this blue playhead. If you've got the older versions of Animate, I think it's red, but you just push down your mouse and hold it down, and you can drag along and see what's happening. So it's red, it's becoming a bit more orange, bit more orange, bit more orange, and then at the end it's full orange. So this is great. Animate has done all of that in-between work for us. That's why it's called a tween. It does all the in-betweening. So we started off at red and wanted to finish at orange, and Animate has calculated all of the in-between colors and put them in the right order. So when you hit the play button, you just get this beautiful smooth transition between red and orange. All right, so that's going along nicely, and we've just got to do the other colors doing the exact same method that we just used to make red go to orange. we do all of the other colors the same way, and we just work our way along the timeline doing them. So the timeline indicates what happens first and what happens second and what happens third. So red's going to happen first because it's at number 1 on the timeline. Our next stop is at orange, which is at 30, and we're going to go in 30. So our next one will actually be at 60, and let's go across and just show you what we need to do at frame 60. All right, so I'm just going to repeat those steps to make the remaining Roy G. Biv colors. So our next transition is from orange to yellow. All right, so at frame 30, we've already got the orange. We need to go 30 more, 30 plus 30, 60. So go to frame 60 and make a yellow rectangle. All right, then we do the shape tween in between here. Right click and make a shape tween, and then we'll have the brown arrow again, and that's going to transition the orange into the yellow very smoothly by Animate filling in all of the in-between positions. All right, so the colored rectangles with the shape tweens, orange was at 30, yellow's going to be at 60. We need to do a green one at 90. So we're going in 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180. So the green one will be at 90, blue at 120, indigo dark blue at 150, and the violet one at 180. All right, so that's what we need to do. And when our timeline's finished, what we should see is we've got at number 30, we've got orange, 60 is going to be yellow, the G for green is going to be at 90, a light blue color is going to be at 120, then 30 more along is 120 plus 30 is 150. So at 150, we're going to have the dark blue, which is called indigo. And here we're going to have a purpley pink violet color at 180. And then we also need to get back to red at 210 so that the thing runs smoothly when we make it run continuously in an animated GIF file. All right, so that's basically what we need to do to finish it off. And then we're going to test it with the play button or dragging the playhead as we've seen. And we should get all of this happening. So that was a bit of work. So at 60, right click, insert a blank keyframe, change your color to yellow, because that's the next color we need to do. Get onto the rectangle tool and just draw a yellow one. Okay, then we just go halfway in between, which is about 45 here. Right click and create a motion tween. Now I've clicked the wrong one. See how it says the selected item cannot be tweened? If you get this error message, it means you picked the wrong one. So just go cancel. You'll have to Control Z if you actually say yes to that. So I'm going to try again. Right click and be steadier on the mouse and do create shape tween, which gives us our nice brown one. If we drag that playhead along, we can see it goes from orange to yellow. So that's all working really nice. Let's put the colors in first and then we'll do the shape tween. So at 90, we need to right click and insert a blank keyframe, change our color to green. And we're still on the rectangle tool, so we'll just draw our green one. So that's Roy, red, orange, yellow, G for green. The next one's B for Biv. Now we might have to use this size slider here to slide back a bit and make this smaller. So we can get to, where do we want to get to? So we can get to 190 plus 30 is 120. So there's a little grey line up and down that says 120 there. So 120, we're going to insert a blank keyframe. And this one we've done, just did green. So this one is the light blue sort of colour. So we'll just make a blue like that and draw a blue rectangle. Now we need to go 120 plus another 30. That takes us to 150. We're going to right click on that, insert a blank keyframe. Now our next one is indigo, and what indigo is it's a very dark kind of blue. All right, so just make a dark blue. That's indigo. And then we've got that. Now what if you didn't make it quite big enough and you've got this white stripe here? Okay, what if that happened? You could do Control Z and start again, or you could go to, next to the arrow tool, there's this free transform resizer tool, free transform. So you can go to that one and click on it and we can just push down on that black square there and just stretch it. Push down and hold down your mouse and stretch it a bit. All right, so that's better now. That's a bit over the edge, but it's fitting, so that'll be fine. 150 plus 30, we need to go to 180, which is the gray lines there. So we right click, insert a blank keyframe. Here we need to get back on the rectangle tool, and we need kind of a violety color. So I'm just going to pick this, a kind of purpley violety. You could go purpley pink as well. That's okay. And now we've got to get back to start at red again. So we've done Roy G. Biv. We've done, if we drag our player along, we've done red, we've done orange, we've done yellow, that's Roy. Then we've done G for green. Then we need Biv, blue, indigo, which is dark blue, violet, which is purple. So we've done our Roy G. Biv. Now to make it play smoothly, you need to go to 210 here, which is 180 plus another 30 is 210. Right click and go insert blank keyframe. And here we just need to get everything back to red that we started with. And we put that on there. And we've got to do all of our shape tweens now. So just go halfway in between, this one's yellow, this one's green. Go halfway in between and right click and create shape tween. So everywhere along the timeline, just right click halfway in between and create your shape tween. Here where it's gray, right click, insert create a shape tween. Sorry, create shape tween. This gray one here, 150 to 180, just find the halfway, roughly about there. All right, create shape tween, halfway in between this one that's still gray, right click and create shape tween. So if we drag along now, we should have yellow going to orange, Roy, G, Biv, B-I-V, Roy G. Biv. We've got our 7 colors. It comes back to red. Or you can do the player. Up here on the player, there's this, where's the rewind all the way back to the beginning? Oh, this is interesting. My other laptop has a go right back to the beginning button. This one doesn't. Phew. Okay, so different versions of Animate. Drives you nuts. What are you doing to me, Adobe? All right, so we'll have to manually push down on this playhead, this blue thing, and just pull it all the way back, and then press the play button, and we can play through. We're going orange, we're going yellow, green, and it's all going very smoothly because Animate's working out all the in-between bits for the colors, all right? So that's that. And what we can do now is do the output, because the thing's finished. So make sure you do a file. So we'll just do a file save as here. And what's it doing to me? Sorry, an error occurred. Don't send. Oh, you're kidding. There can't be an error right now, just as I was about to save. Surely not. Surely not. Eek. Okay, I'll have to deal with that. Animate does crash, so I should have told you, make sure you're saving every 5 or 10 minutes. For some reason, I think it's a bit of a memory hog on computers, and it does crash every now and then, unless you've got a really big, powerful graphics animation computer. All right, anyway, we'll be back. All right, luckily, like a lot of applications these days, behind the scenes, they do some saving, even if you haven't. And it's the same with Word. If Word crashes, you might get this message, recover your document. And we've got here, it's got auto recover file. I've just restarted Animate. Auto recover file has been detected from a previous Animate session. Yes, we'd like to open that file. All right, and what we better do quick smart is do file save as, and just find, see, that's where it's saved it, over in all its Adobe stuff. We'll just go to this PC and get to our Adobe Animate. So we have to burrow in here. I don't know whether you might be saving yours to OneDrive or somewhere. What are we in? L6A. So see, it's called recover here. So, and yeah, Animate files end in .fla. So don't remove the .fla. We'll just leave that and we'll just call this lesson 6 live. But you can call it rainbow if you want. All right, so as we were going to do, we were playing that and that was all good. Okay, so now we need to output it. Now you can generate it to your web browser and have it play in the browser the finished animation. The only thing is, I've noticed with my students at school, they've only got small underpowered, well, they're not underpowered, they run Microsoft Office, okay, but they're very standard cheap laptops. When they press down, hold down CTRL and press enter to generate an HTML page, Animate just goes into this, you know, the big round circle of death. It just sits there not responding, gets to about 80%, then it doesn't respond and you got to close it all down, start up again. So try this out. If you have that sort of problem, don't do it again. Just do animated GIF, which we're going to show you after this one. Now, this one does require a connection to the internet, and I just noticed we don't have our internet turned on, so I'll have to go and do that and then we'll be back. All right, and the trick is to hold down the CTRL key down the bottom left-hand corner and then press the enter key. So one hand is on the CTRL holding it down and you press the enter key and it should make something running in your browser. So you should see your browser open up and a red rectangle, then it should turn into sort of orange and yellow and green and then go to blue and then go to violet. Also, after you've done that and it's played, in Windows Explorer, you can see it's made some HTML to generate this web page. And what's making it do the changes is a finished kind of JavaScript program. So it's turned all the Animate into JavaScript, which can run in a web page, all right? So let's go and try that and see how we go and hope that Animate doesn't crash. All right, so we're back in Animate. We're just going to do a file save before we do anything. Well, it won't let us save because it reckons we're up to date. So that's okay. So let's hold our breath, hold down CTRL, press enter, and it's given us a web page where our rectangle is there in the corner and it is running. There we go. Woohoo! So it's changing color, Roy, G, blue, indigo, and violet. Back to red, then it goes back around again. Orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, red. All right, so that'll just keep going forever. So that's a bit boring, so let's stop that. Now, what'll happen down here is it's gonna be on output. Warnings, frame numbers in ease.js start at 0. If there's warnings, that's okay. If you've got errors, which I've never actually had, but if this said errors, it might say things that you need to fix. Now, you're thinking, where's all my timeline? Where's all my stuff gone? Just click on the timeline tab here and it'll go back to timeline. So when you export something or use Control and Enter to run, it'll just go to output to tell you how it went. Just click back on timeline here and there we are back on our timeline. All right, so that's the HTML5 browser animation. Remember, if you get the blue circle of death and Animate doesn't like you pressing CTRL and enter, don't worry because we'll use this second method. So that was the thing about the output, and click on timeline to get back to your timeline. We demonstrated that. This is the method which you use most of the time anyway for these projects. We just want to make an animated GIF. So in most of our course, unless it's a really big animation, then you've got to save it as an MP4 movie. But for most of the ones we're making, it's just an animated GIF, all right? So click on the File tab, then click Export and export animated GIF. So we go File, Export, okay, because we want to send it out into the world and we want to send it out as an animated GIF. So those three things. And what will happen then is you'll get this screen, but you should not have to change anything on this screen. If there was a background on this and you wanted transparency, you'd have to click that, but we're not doing anything like that because we made our rectangle cover the whole stage area anyway. And that's just the color palette it's going to use when it does this, and that's fine. Don't change anything here, it should all be fine. And all you have to do is click that save button to save it. All right, that's all you have to do. And then what should happen is it might just give a little circle waiting while it saves it, but it should save it within a minute anyway. Or it might just save it straight away on a good laptop. And you should notice then that it saves it in the same place where you're making your project, and it'll just have .gif on the end, and then you can just find it in your Windows folders here, double click on it, and when you double click, it's just going to run in Windows and run the actual animated GIF. So let's try that all out and see how we go. Okay, so here we are back in Animate, and we just go File, remember Export, because we're sending it out into the world, and we're going to send it out as an animated GIF. All right, now it just takes a little while and it'll bring up that animated GIF screen. Oh, we've got the not responding. No, it has responded. Okay, yeah, and it takes a while to process too. All right, so give the not responding and the processing a bit of time, unless you get a crash message and then you have to say exit anyway. But sometimes it takes time and you think, oh no, Animate's crashed. But if you're waiting more than kind of, on your stopwatch 2 minutes, well, then you'll have to shut down Animate. Something is wrong. And all we have to do is click Save. That's it, Save. Now we need to pick where we're going to save it. So I'm already in my Animate folder, and I'm in this lesson. So lesson 6 live. I might just carefully, without removing the .gif, I might carefully just go in there and put big letters GIF, so I know that's the GIF one. And lesson 6, yeah, we'll just leave it as live GIF. There we go. Save it. Now the saving might take a little time as well before that screen goes away. And when it comes back to here, you know it's saved, okay? And now if we go to this one, see, there's our HTML and there's our JavaScript, but there's one lesson 6 live big GIF. That's the one we need. If you double click on that, there we go. It opens up our Windows Photo Viewer, and we've got our animation running, and we have all the lovely colors of the rainbow. And Animate is now this kind of purpley indigo thing for its symbol, but it used to be red. That's why I'm kind of wearing the reddy shirt. I liked it when it was red. I don't like the new color for the Animate icon, but that's what it is, purple and blue at the moment. So let's go back and see what we need to do, because I think we're finished now. So rainbows are formed by the 7 primary colors known as Roy G. Biv. And if you look at a rainbow, you'll notice they're not it's not red and then suddenly orange. It kind of fades into itself. And that's what we've managed to make, a demonstration of the rainbow colors fading through the Roy G. Biv visible light spectrum, as they call it in physics. And that's maybe not exciting to some people. I'm all excited because I love colors, because I do Photoshop and all sorts of things, and color I love. Photography, graphic design, love color. That's pretty boring. Oh, a rectangle's changing color. That's not very exciting. And I understand that. I can relate to that, okay. But remember that we're beginners. This lesson is for complete beginners, and it's just for them to learn to use the timeline and realize that as you work along the timeline, things will happen later in the animation, and also to learn about tweening. That Animate's great because it fills in all of the in-between bits for you. That's what tweening's called, and that's what animation's all about, tweening. All right, so the challenge task, we have got a challenge task, which is a little bit more interesting, is to make a happy, sad emoji animation that's going to change color as well. So this can be done with what we've learnt in the drawing emojis lesson. Okay, so you need to have done that lesson or know how to draw an emoji and draw lines and change their thickness and bend them and things. We're not going for the fancy eyes on this, just make them basic round eyes like this that are black, and we've just chosen a black background for it as well. And this was, what inspired this was, I'm here in Melbourne, Australia, and we've had so many COVID lockdowns because of that damn virus, and so this is the story of Melbourne. We're happy. Oh no, we're going into lockdown. We're coming out of lockdown. We're going back into lockdown. We're coming out of lockdown. We're on our 7th, get that 7th lockdown in Melbourne at the moment. We're the longest lockdown city in the world. Yeah, it's pretty bad, and we've been happy and sad, but that's life. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad, but the sad never stays forever. There's always happy times later on. They do come eventually, although this lockdown's feeling like it'll never end. But how are you going to do this one? We'll give you some hints. Create a new file, make this a 640 by 480. Go to properties, window properties, go on dock and set the stage to black, or you could make it a dark blue color if you want. We just chose black, but not white. And you can use that little sliders icon, remember, to bring this up, or you can do window properties. And we're just going to draw this emoji face. All right, so remember when you're drawing the mouth, you just get on the line tool and draw a thick black line, but then you can get back on the arrow tool and you move the mouse near it. Remember when you get that bendy thing? That's when you push down and grab it and you can bend it to make the happy and then later on make the sad. But we're just going to concentrate on happy to start off with. We're going to start off very positive on this project and start with happy. So frame 1, we're clicked in that and we've drawn our happy face, right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to make multiple copies of the happy face. And how you do that is, while you're on frame 1 there, you just right click and instead of a blank keyframe, you do insert keyframe. And that copies what you've got here into frame 2. And you just keep going insert keyframe. So you keep right clicking, insert keyframe. Right click, insert keyframe. We want 4 of them all together. So we want this happy face to be in frames 1, 2, 3, 4, which you can do by right click, insert keyframe. That will copy it. All right, so we should have 4 of them here. And then you need to go to frame 50, right click, insert keyframe, not blank keyframe. If you do that, just remember Control Z, your best friends. Insert keyframe will copy the smiley face into 50, and we also want to copy the smiley face to 100. All right, so we've got smiley faces to start off with. Then click into frame 50, because what we're going to do in 50 is we're going to change the color and make it a sad face. All right, so what we've done there is at 50, where our happy one is, we're just clicking on this part, and if you go to properties, window properties, and make sure you're on the, not on dock properties, but you're on the right ones for this object, change the fill color to red. So it was yellow, we've made it red. And then just move near the mouth with your arrow key, of your normal arrow key. Remember, when you move it near there with your finger off the button, it'll kind of have this arrow with the bit of a circle on it. When you see that arrow as you're moving your mouse, as soon as you see that, push down and hold down. And while you're held down, you can bend the mouth up and down. So we need to make a red, unhappy smile. So that's at 50. And then what we're going to do is we go insert keyframe, right clicking along here, insert keyframe. We want unhappy faces at frames 51, 52, 53, 54, and 55. So we want to make a few of them, okay? Which we can just do by right click, insert keyframe. Now looking at the animation as it runs when it's finished, you could actually make a 2 or 3 more of the happy ones at the start back when you were doing that, and you could make 2 or 3, 4 maybe of these as well, but anyway, we'll just leave it at that. And then we just need to go in between those where we've got all those dots on there indicating we've got drawings on those frames. Just go halfway in between to frame 25, right click and do your create shape tween. Do the same thing here at about 75, right click, create shape tween, and you should have 2 brown arrows in between these groups of smiley faces and groups of unhappy faces. And that should make the whole animation and you should be done. So file, export it to an animated GIF. And that GIF should look like this. We put it into PowerPoint or Word or email it to someone or whatever. That's your animated GIF. We're happy, then we're sad. And then life gets happy again. Doesn't stay happy forever. Maybe we've got too much sad in this, but a COVID lockdown, that virus business has been very sad overall. So I'm happy with it mostly being sad, but have fun with Adobe Animate because that's how we can get happy. It's fun using Adobe Animate. So give this video a big thumbs up because it's been an excellent introduction on how to use the timeline and also on how Animate does all of the in-between bits. And we're going to be having more Animate lessons coming. So remember, subscribe, subscribe, subscribe so you see those next lessons. And speaking of seeing you, we'll see you in the next lesson.